Hey Chris, good evening. How are you doing?
Hello, Monisha. Good evening. Good afternoon to you. I'm good, very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm always good, Chris. In fact, thank you so much for joining us. And I was just telling you backstage that it's a pleasure, sort of just talking to people from all over the world, right? It's one awesome experience that I'm having right now on Festivals of India. But if you allow me, Chris, I would like to introduce you to everybody else who's going to be watching us live. So Dr. Chris Mallika Bhadra is originally from New Delhi, India, and is currently based in Melbourne, Australia, for the last 8 years. Chris has earned her doctorate in Nano-Biotechnology with an expertise on material sciences. Wow. Apart from research, Chris is a trained Indian contemporary dancer, received training from Mrs. Tanushri Shankar in India, life blogger. She's a public speaker and a podcast host. Chris is also the founder and the main choreographer of Anando Dance Group in Melbourne and hosts two podcast channels along with a cohort of her like minded friends. Chris strongly believes in speaking up for what is right, and she believes her podcast will act as a global platform to push and break the stereotypical boundaries. All her social media handles are mentioned in the post wrapping up this live Adda. So, Chris, that is a lot of stuff that you're into. I don't know how you're doing it, but right from biotechnology, or was it bio nanotechnology, to being a life blogger, to being a podcast host, to being a contemporary dancer. That's awesome. So tell me a little about yourself in your own words, Chris. This is like quite a journey you've had.
First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart, Monisha, for all those words that you had to have for me. And secondly, thank you for having me on this platform. I mean, it's great to connect to you on Festivals of India as well. And I am looking forward to what the festival to all of us and also when the Adda is released online. So I'm just excited to be here to say the least. My journey was very simple, Monisha. As like in any other student in India growing up, there was always this, you have to take up science and engineering, and then engineering happened. Then with engineering, PhD was like on the line because my major in masters was biomedical, so PhD had to happen, and then PhD happened in Australia. But I started learning dance when I was in grade 4.
Oh,
So
okay.
my mom was like, I better take you to a formal training so that you can hone up your skills. And that's where my dancing career started. And when I was in school, I was always up and ready for extra curricular activities like debates, recitation, writing. So I think that is where my writing skills got honed. And that also started. So basically, I started blogging in 2015. So it's not a
Mm-hmm.
private blog. I put it up, and some of my works have been published as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then late, this podcast thing is the newest, you could say, addition to my, some of the journeys that I've been on. So we started in July and August, and we are fairly new. We're both 12 and 13 episodes new in English and the podcast ones. But yeah, the journey and the aim is to kind of, as you mentioned before, to push the boundaries and to talk about things that people don't find comfort talking about. Because we
Mm-hmm.
realize that somewhere somebody has to talk about it, somebody has to come up with the bitter truth.
Mm-hmm.
And just try to keep pushing the envelope, Monisha, really, because somebody has to bell the cat. That's what we do. I
So, you have rightfully coined our Adda as the open mic for the truth, right? I mean, that's what you want this to be. And I think what you're telling is that, through your approach with the podcast channel and what you're doing on those channels,
Yeah,
what you're really trying to do is picking up and addressing topics which people otherwise would just shove under the carpet, right?
yeah,
They're not freely spoken about. So
exactly.
how did this whole act start for you? Did you feel the need for it because of any trigger, or was it just something that you've been wanting to do for a long time? Was it something personal about the whole thing? How did it all start?
I'll be very candid about the entire thing, Monisha. The thing is, I've always wanted to kind of somewhere become a journalist when I was in school. So as I mentioned, engineering happened. So that was like that crowning desire that, I have to be on that, I have to speak. And I love speaking. I've been in debates and all that. And then on the personal side, when I started looking for a matrimonial aspect and a matrimonial alliance, these days it's become very convoluted. So I've faced a lot of questions, a lot of intimidating questions. And so I wanted to kind of if I have to coin it properly, vent it out. I wanted to kind of enlighten some other women my age or who are going through similar phases that, you need to stand up for yourself. Various other things like mental health. I was in a phase where I was in a difficult phase of my life. That time, nobody actually understood what is happening. Like, why are you so mentally upset? And everybody used to come and tell me, oh, this is just a phase, you'll get over it, blah, blah, blah. So I needed to talk about all these things. And then suddenly I just realized that why not use this platform of a podcast to kind of talk about these things, because there are so many things in an Indian society, Monisha, I can't keep on enlisting you about that. People just don't want to talk about. They just want to shove it under the carpet and behave nothing is happening. So it's as you, according to your question, yes, there were a few personal experiences, there were a few hidden desires, and all together they kind of shaped up the desire and the wish to have a podcast channel.
Right. And I think this is exactly like I was telling you the first time that we spoke, that this is very similar to what I do, through this channel of having the Addas with different people who are from different walks of life. I found that connect with you. So when you said that, Monisha, this is what I do, I immediately said that this is something which can be totally shared. I can share that sentiment with you, because I know that for the last 3 months that I have been hosting various lives with different people. One of the focus has been that though we emphasize on art, culture, and education, that through the stream of education, educate people on different subjects which otherwise don't get freely spoken about. So I completely relate to what you're doing, and I think each of us, right? Each of us in our own little ways, if we keep at it, we make a little noise around our own lives. I think the word will be heard, and people who relate to it will actually connect with you, right? So I know it's not meant for everybody. You may not be able to become the most favorite channel for everyone, but there are a lot of us around there who value what is being spoken about. And I personally would love to recommend your podcast channel, because I've heard a few of the topics that you've spoken about there along with
Thank
your
you.
guests, and it's fabulous. So, guys,
Thank you.
the channel handles are all mentioned in the wrap text to this Adda post. So please do connect. Do like the channels. Do follow Chris, and she has a lot of content out there which is worth listening to. So
On this
bringing,
point, Monisha,
yeah,
just quickly
yeah,
butting in, sorry to cut you short.
sure,
I
sure.
have to mention that I would not have been able to do this without three of my amazing ladies and friends. Like, I've known
Okay.
two of them for quite a while, and the entire reason we were able to come out with this is because we bond on a very similar level, like mentally and emotionally. So it's Harita Gandhi from New Zealand, Mallika Chakravarthy from Melbourne, and Sonia Randhawa from New Zealand as well. So we, four of us, kind of, I came up with the idea, then I approached them that, would you like to be on board? And they immediately just said yes. So a big credit goes to them also, Monisha, because it's always difficult to find like-minded people, as you
Yeah,
mentioned. So
yeah.
I was lucky that I found these ladies who were willing to step up the board, and they were just kind of willing to come out of the shell and speak about things and just be blunt about it. So big thank
Interesting.
you to them as well.
Interesting. In fact, the next question to that, I know it's not a part of our agreed list, but are these amazing women known to you from before, or are they somebody who you met during your journey?
I've met them in Melbourne, Monisha. I
Okay.
never knew them beforehand. So I've met Harita. It's been 6 years we know each other. We met through dance. So she's always been a part of my dance group as well. And then
Hmm.
I met her through another friend of mine through dance. But then later on, I realized she's an equally passionate speaker.
Hmm.
And Sonia is a friend of Harita. So we kind of just bonded together, and we realized that this is what we all want to do. We are very passionate about topics A, B, and C, and we want to speak about them. And then just we got together, and that's how the journey started rolling.
Excellent, excellent. Nothing like having friends and team
Oh, yeah.
members, right? So I
Exactly.
can connect to that, because I started alone, and I know how much difference has Suvan made, to the team back end. And I
Yeah.
have such amazing front end partners. We have Arundhati, we have Chidambara Singh, we have Natasha Kumar Bajaj. So you definitely need a force to build, to pick up the volume and move in a direction, right? Desired direction. So completely relate to it. I think both of us have lots of parallels going on there. But Chris, now tell me, your extracurricular engagements with culture, how do you balance it out with what you're doing on the other side? Because one side is very very artistic, the other side is not so artistic, but it is, it's more mind
Yeah.
sort of stimulating. So how are you doing this balance? Do you have like a routine that you have set for yourself, that within 7 days of a week, this is what I'm going to distribute my time within, and then this is, do you have it as a planned thing, or does it happen as and when an opportunity arises?
I think if I have to start with anything, I would say it's the action and reaction to, they're the action and reaction to each other. More 5 days, you're so busy in work that
Hmm.
in the weekend, it's like I need to vent out my energy somewhere else. I need to create something. So when I'm rehearsing, for example, for a routine or a dance performance,
Hmm.
I'm rehearsing, like my mind is blank out. There's no work in the mind, nothing. When I'm recording a channel episode for a podcast, that's where I'm at. And yes, I have to be a bit proactive about it because since I'm overseas, I have to do everything by myself, like laundry, household chores, everything. So I have to be a bit proactive. Monday is a lot of planning, scheduling, and most of the rehearsals and the recordings happen over weekends. So weeknights are more or less free for me. So it's just balancing, Monisha, really. And I strongly believe when you have the will to do it, you
Right.
can balance 10 things together. You
I
just
swear.
have you need to have the fire. And
I swear.
this was something my mom told me, like when I came here, it was in 2013. So that
Mm-hmm.
first year, I didn't know a single soul in Melbourne. I
Hmm.
was just kind of oscillating between lab and home. Like I used to be in the lab till 9 p.m., come home, eat, sleep. And then my mom said, look, you need to socialize, otherwise you'll go crazy. And
Hmm.
why don't you find some organizations where you can dance? Now you can always dance, right? And that's when I realized that I need to socialize, I need to put my dance skills out. And 2014, there was this amazing lady, she gave me this first platform to perform. And that's how I've just kind of had that strong fire alive in myself that I need to balance. No matter what happens, I need
Hmm.
to do what I love doing. Otherwise, work will consume me and I'll
I
just
agree.
lose my sanity.
I
That's
agree.
how.
I agree. In fact, I completely relate to that. So the dance group, has it been your own baby, or did you join the dance group, the Ananda dance group?
This is my own child, Monisha. I joined other platforms before, but in 2017, I realized that it's time to kind of, bring something together. And, again, these were the ladies I could easily connect with. And they just
Hmm.
immediately said, yes, let's just, we are happy to be a part of your group. And then we just started performing in 2017. And it's been 3 years. We're still trying. We're performing in Melbourne. We have performed in Sydney as well. So, yeah, it's been my child and it's just very close to my heart.
Good fun. In fact, I watched, we have a solo performance by a group. So beautiful dancers, very graceful to watch, which is why I said, Chris, you have to do a solo with us because, because we're always finding talent, right? We can always make out who deserves that solo space and then, invite people to come and, invite and get them into the spotlight,
Yeah.
basically. But is this group again a contemporary group, or have you mixed classical and contemporary together? What is the direction in terms of the.
Baseline, if you will, Monisha, is contemporary because I am trained in Indian contemporary and a few of my other members are also. But then our purpose is always to bring up something new to the audience. So what we do
Hmm.
is more fusion performances. We fuse classical with contemporary. We fuse semi-classical with jazz. We fuse Kathak and contemporary. So we try to do something different, which not a lot of people have seen before. So we don't do
Hmm.
Bollywood performances. I mean, no disrespect to that form of dance, but we don't engage there.
Hmm.
Our this has to be to produce something new, and we prefer instrumental tracks because I believe that you space for expression and for improvisation on an instrumental track. So that's
Hmm.
what we love doing. So it's just kind of we're trying to bring up something new every time.
Excellent. So this is the cultural side of you, the dance, where you are a dancer and I mean I've seen that glow on the face when you're performing, and even the glow on the members of your dance group. When it comes to the podcast, it's a much more serious affair, right? Where you're talking about topics which are not so light. Any specific target audience that you have there, Chris, that you are trying to get the message across to? Do you connect the podcast channel to any specific audience globally or just in Australia? How are you taking it forward? What is the direction there?
Monisha, since we've just kind of ventured into podcasting, right now we are keeping it very, very open. We want to keep a global platform. We want to reach out to every person, but right now we're just kind of venturing out. All our fingers and hands are open everywhere. We encourage all our friends to share it as you would know any other person would. But if you specifically ask me, my target audience would be each and every person who has been traumatized in some way or the other in his or her life. His or her life, I mean, our podcast is not necessarily gender restricted. We have talked about men's issues, we have talked about women's issues. It's just that women's issues precede men's issues because by far and large we know how things are. But any voice which needs to be heard, which needs to share their story, who needs to share their story, is welcome on our podcast as a guest speaker, because we believe that there is so much happening which is unjust and unfair that things need to be out in the public. Really, you just can't keep hiding away in the dark and pretend that everything is very colorful and nothing is black, and there are shades of gray which need to be spoken about. So that is mainly our target audience. But now we're just kind of playing healthy, playing safe, we're venturing out. But in the future we want to kind of we want to step up and become more serious. We want to mean more serious business, but that is like when we are like
In
good
days
in
to
the
come. Got it. So I've heard you speak about mental health as one. What are the other topics that you are targeting here?
We've
Just
spoken
some of
about
them. I know. Yeah.
we've spoken about mental health, Monisha. We've spoken about Hathras. I'm sure you are aware of what happened in Hathras. We've spoken about there's other thing that a woman cannot very freely express her sexual desires, or even if she wants to speak about her sexual desire out in the open, she cannot do it so freely. So we've spoken about that. We have spoken about the basic institution of marriage, like what constitutes a marriage and how the 21st century has completely circumvented that situation. And now the millennials have a totally different idea of getting married, right? We've spoken about like, if a man cries, he's easily deemed feminine and like, oh, don't be a woman when you're crying. So we had a male guest speaker. We spoke about that. So these are some of the issues in a nutshell that we've spoken about, and there's some others that are lined up for the new year too. So we'll be releasing those episodes very soon. So very delicate topics, but we want to speak more on these delicate topics.
How has the response been, Chris? How has the response been so far? In terms of from the
Monisha,
audience connecting out to you and liking what you're doing?
friends have liked it. Friends of friends have also liked it. We have also received a couple of dislike buttons on YouTube, which we knew would be coming our way because not everyone would be loving our episodes, and we are completely fine with it. And we urge our listeners to give us constructive feedback. That can be positive, negative, whatever, because that's the way we need to grow. So the feedback is encouraging. People are pushing us to release more episodes. But again, Monisha, we can't release episodes that are very high on the political side of the discussions, because we don't want to be banned right when we want to spread our wings and fly. So no matter how much we want to speak about ABC topics, but we want to be very diplomatic around them, and still will try to release it. But there are a lot of constraints involved. I'm sure you know what I mean when I say constraints.
No, I do. In fact, it's quite inspiring to see somebody who is got so much of the fire in the belly to to sort of do this, because I've heard people talk about things passionately, but very few have the courage to bring things out. I remember when in the last festival event, I brought up the topic on mental health, the hygiene of mental health, basically. Uh, very few people actually felt that it should be something that should be spoken about during a festival. But when we started talking about it, and we ensured, like I was telling you, that we connect our themes, we connect our causes to every single event that we do. One of the reasons why I intentionally do that is to probe people to think. So if whether you're dancing, you're singing, you're talking, you're doing a speech contest, you're participating in a panel-thon, we ensure that everybody starts thinking in the direction of these causes that we tie up to the festival, so that even if you don't do it on a regular basis, you start you get that little accidental brush with your time and with the
Exactly.
theme, to be able to start thinking. And when you're starting to talk to each other about it, you realize, how important it is, and how you yourself has been through something like this, right? At any given point of time. So I completely understand. And this is a channel which allows anybody from any part of the globe to approach you and be heard if they
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
It doesn't
We
matter
are
where you are
open to
from.
No, we are open to anyone and anyone, any part of the world, Monisha, because thanks to technology, all it
Yeah,
takes was Skype to record. So you don't have to be physically present in front of us. But
right.
what we need is a story which needs to be heard out. There should be some pain, there should be some angst in your story that, you've been mistreated or mishandled. We don't care what form it is, but we want to speak to you. We want to kind of give that platform to you so that you can be heard to so many, at least even if two people are listening, Monisha, I believe
Yeah,
that's
I
a change.
agree. I
That's a
agree.
change. Because
Yeah.
one of the topics we want to speak about, we were meant to do it, but then something happened. We want to speak about is marital rape. I know
Hmm.
this happens. This is rampant in India, but nobody talks about it.
Hmm.
Everyone says that this is normal. It's not normal. It's
Hmm.
absolutely not normal. And we will speak about it and we will release it no matter who hates that or what feedback we receive. We want to speak about it. So
Hmm.
I urge and welcome to anyone who's listening to this episode of ours live. If you
Hmm.
have anything which is troubling you or which has pained you, please let us know. We would love to hear you.
So I'm just trying to scroll through our WhatsApp chat, and I want to just read out the name of the podcast channel. Uh, so Chris, help me with this. It's
Sure.
called it's called Coconut Chats.
Yeah, so we have two. The
Mm-hmm.
one in English is called Coconut Chats,
Mm-hmm.
and the one in Bangla is Durdeshi Bangla. But the
Okay.
one in Bangla is more, it's categorized more towards the Bangla side of the audience, NRIs who are residing overseas, who feel they've lost that Bengali touch. So that
Hmm.
is more. We have also taken up serious topics in that podcast as well. But for any and everyone, you can always connect to us at Coconut Chats. We are on Facebook as well. Just send us a message and we'll get back to you.
Excellent, excellent. So that is said and done. Now coming to the blogger side of you. So what inspires you to write and blog, Chris?
Monisha, it's life. It's
Uh-huh.
my life. Like I write from a third person perspective, and whatever I've seen around myself, whatever I've seen around happening to other people around me, I just write and I give my own angle to that story, to that event, how it happened. So
Hmm.
that it's just very interesting because life can give you a million stories, a million ideas to think about. And
Hmm.
then that's how I've kept writing. I've written about rape. I've written about I had a very interesting relationship with my mother, so I've written about it. My name has a very interesting meaning. A lot of people get very intrigued with my name, so I've written about that. I've written about some difficult relationships I've had in my life. So it's basically life that prompts me to write.
Excellent. I think writing is one of the most beautiful forms of expression. I've always felt that because whenever I have nothing else to do, it's my last go-to resort. I'm a very talkative person, but when I can't find anybody decent to chat with, and I have a beautiful scenery I find myself amidst, or I'm traveling alone somewhere, I always have my notepad and my pen. I'm this traditional writer. I have started lifting it up into a personal blog, but I still like the art
Yeah,
of
make
writing.
notes.
Like the exactly. So this is something that has actually seen me through my college days, and I can completely understand when you say something like what you're saying. I think the whole fluidity of your emotions come out, right, in terms of what you're going through, and nothing like doing it in third person, because you're detached and yet attached. So I can
Yes.
kind of get it. But so many things happening, Chris. So what's the fun side? Is there any side to you that one would really find interesting, in the sense that this is all very interesting, but something which is very fun, which is very wacky, where we would love to meet that side of Chris as well.
Good question, Monisha. Tricky one.
Tricky
Good
one.
question. I think I would love to take some cookery classes from anyone out there who's like a good cook, because I think I was born with two left hands when it comes to entering the kitchen and cooking anything. 6 years, not a long time, but I I don't want to kind of embarrass anyone by calling over, because my cooking is just like average. And I think I'm a pretty good sport when it comes to having fun in on a dance floor, because much to a myth that people have told me, oh, you need to get high to be comfortable on the dance floor. I don't follow that. I don't drink, and I'm pretty much comfortable on the dance floor. You give me some good music, I can just chill around, I can groove around. I'm slowly emerging to be a good driver. So if someone is next to me, they would have that fun of me as well. So these are some of the sides where you'll find me unwinding. So,
I like the way you're saying this. It's like, dude, your life is not so much at risk. It's the risk is slowly reducing since you're emerging as a good driver. Please don't mention that to your co-seat, to your co-passengers in the car.
I always tell them, look, it's my car, my rules. So the music is my taste, my rules. So you better listen to me, or you always have to step up. I'm slowly working on my driving skills.
No, that sounds fun. So driving, cooking, writing, singing. No, not singing. You said dancing and blogging and podcasting. It sounds like a lot of fun. Chris, I'm not going to ask you your age because that's going to be silly. But
No, Monisha, you should. I think this is another thing that we need to break.
No. Listen. Some things are best traditional. we don't have to debate on everything. Hold on. I don't. You'll give out your age. You'll tell me also. Ki Monisha, tu bhi apna bata de. I don't want to do that.
All right. Okay.
I look young, so let it remain that way. So what I'm saying was, where are you heading, Chris? Where do you see yourself in the next few years? I won't ask you the traditional 5-year hitch question, but where do you see yourself going? There's so many directions, right? So do you find yourself sticking to a few? I'm sure you're practicing in your profession as well. So where do you see yourself in a few years?
I'll give you a very super ambitious answer because I've thought of it, but it's just about.
Sure.
With regards to writing, I am really inspired by Salman Rushdie and Orhan Pamuk's writing. So I really want to get to a stage somewhere where I release my own novel. I have a theme. I've thought of it. It's just that I need to keep honing my skills to a point where I am able to put my exact thoughts on paper, and then I'm able to find a publisher who says, yeah, we are happy to release it. So that's something I want to do. With regards to the group, with regards to the dance group, I want to take my group on a global level. Event which is hosted in USA. It's called the World of Dance, and one of his judges is Miss Jennifer Lopez, and I absolutely respect her for her journey and what she has done. So my dream is to kind of take the group to that stage, be able to compete someday on the stage, no matter if it's prelims or semis, but we would like to see ourselves there one day. And with the podcast, obviously, Monisha, if I'm able to touch even one woman's or one man's voice, if we are able to make that difference in their lives, that would be great. That would be just a blessing. So that's kind of a very super ambitious plan. But again, nothing happens overnight.
All doable. It's all achievable.
Fingers crossed.
I think when you put your mind to something, there's no looking back, right? I mean, it's just you and that focus out there, right? That's what it takes.
The other thing is, Monisha, I have to say it here that I've received a lot of support from my family. Half of this would not have been possible if I didn't have the family I have today. My mom and my dad, they're super supportive, and they've given me that independence, they've given me that confidence on which I can, take my own decisions and do this and do that and whatnot. So I have to be very thankful to what they've given me and how they've shaped me as an individual. I might not be the best version of myself at all times, but they are the main reason I keep going every day, Monisha. I have to say that.
Yeah, and I have to tell you how lucky you are, because you're talking to somebody who has had no support whatsoever. So I've grown up amidst a lot of restrictions. Had to rebel at a very early age. I still rebel to get my way in life. Though my aspirations weren't very weren't very heavy or very difficult. But I think somewhere, I grew up in a family where, so me and my two brothers, right? So I grew up with two younger brothers, and somewhere the position of a girl in the family was always undermined. The encouragement always went to the brothers,
Yeah.
and that's how it is, and that's how it is. But that being the case, I think that made my drive that much
Yeah.
more stronger, right? Because I realized that if I had to succumb, at that early age, at that tender age, and I would always see my mother being looked down upon for just being a housewife who had given up her education to have children, raise them. I didn't see respect anywhere. I still don't see it. I still am
Exactly.
surrounded by my father is extremely dominating. I never hesitate to admit that very little has changed between me and him, which has helped me sort of build my respect for him. But I have always seen that the position of a woman in at least my
Yeah.
family has always been looked down upon, which has been one of the very strong motivators for me, actually. And that has kept me going. I still keep going, and I still keep doing what I have to do. I really don't care a damn at times, because somewhere I feel that if I'm feeling good and right about something, then it must be done, right?
Exactly.
Unless I go and falter somewhere and I learn it my way.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
where is the guidance? There is no guidance. There's nobody telling you, okay, beta, don't do this. This is the bad side of it. I've never had anybody talk to me like that. So self-made is the answer. But I think one suggestion for you, Chris, and I think since I'm seeing that spark, I'm seeing that similar spark in you, and I think if we have a voice, right, and if we have a platform where
Yeah.
with which we are able to highlight and take that voice ahead into and amongst people, I think one thing that people like you and me should continue to do is hear people
Exactly.
out, give them that space. Because I know for sure, when you say that this is the when you say what you're saying, it's so right that people don't have a voice at times. People are always sort of subdued. They are pushed under the cover if they
Yeah.
feel a certain way strongly about something. The society, and I don't think it's got anything to do specifically with Indian society. Indian society, yes, it is more highlighted here
Hmm.
because it is that much more orthodox, but it happens across cultures. It happens across the world. And somewhere I feel that irrespective of a woman, man, you have transgenders also nowadays. You have everybody who needs to be heard, everybody who has issues, everybody who wants a space to share their voice
Exactly.
and create that awareness. It could be mental health, it could be abuse, it could be lack of education, it could be hundreds of things. Even the the most minor of the issues, like somebody hesitating to call a person in that frantic moment of trying to take their own
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
So it could be simple things. I think somewhere we should become a helpline for people around us. And I
I
don't know what's
totally
going to
agree.
come out of it. I don't know what's going to come out of it. I don't know how or who will get helped. But I feel somewhere where 10 people hear you, somewhere somebody will reach out and say, you know what, I can do something about this person I heard. And
Exactly.
maybe that connection, that bridge that you're going to be making is going to be the purpose that you're going to be solving, right? And that's enough. I think that's enough. Now, not everything has to be about uh, how much money you make, and it
My,
doesn't
my,
have to be.
and the other thing, Monisha, is like for people like you and myself who have already dared to board this platform and who've taken the journey, we need to realize that there will be some resilience always our way. There
Yeah,
will
yeah,
be some
absolutely.
hate speech, there will be some threats coming our way. We
Hmm.
need to look above and beyond that. Like what I think is when someone doesn't like my podcast, I believe that either you are intimidated or you're
Hmm.
scared because we've spoken that soft topic
Hmm.
which you don't have an answer for. That is
Hmm.
why you are retaliating with something which is hateful to me or which is intimidating to me. Had
Hmm.
you, I don't need you to agree with me, but I know for a fact that I'm not saying anything which is morally or ethically wrong. So the only two things you can hate us is either you are intimidated or you're scared because the truth is sometimes very bitter to take on.
Right.
And this
I
is not
agree.
one topic, but there are like millions of topics out there where
I
people
agree.
will just hate you because they don't want you to speak the truth. So
I
we
know.
just need to keep looking for the bigger picture, and keep pushing the boundary as far as we can, because every minute we are here, somebody is getting troubled, somebody is getting killed, or somebody is just getting abused. We
I
need
know.
to try to reach out to them as much as we can.
I think reaching out is the only way, seriously. And now with so much of all of us being online and so much of connectivity happening, I think if not now, then when else, right? This is the
Exactly.
best time to actually try to hone all these various tools that we have and see where we get. But Chris, I had an amazing chat with you. Yeah, I think it's time for me to ask you that most difficult question, which people literally dread when I pose this to them. What are you doing for the festival event that we are having here on the platform? Sorry, I was
Um,
kidding. This wasn't scary at all. Yeah.
we are presenting our audience with a dance performance, Monisha. So we've tried to emphasize the language of love, and how can we best describe it when we've fused two very different tracks. The first one, I'm not giving too much of detail because that will kind of spoil. The first track is kind of an EDM based track where you have a automated music and some lyrics on it, followed by a very, very classical track, but both of which, if you listen very closely, speak very similarly of the language of a woman or a person who's waiting in love or who wants to be loved. And we've kind of fused two dance forms
Hmm.
and waiting, and we are hoping the audience loves it.
Oh, yeah, they will. Let me tell you, whoever at the back end has seen it, they have loved it. So I know for sure that it's going to be a good watch.
Thank you.
So apart from that, you're also taking part in the panelthon, which is happening here on the 29th, where there
Yes.
are going to be some interesting people and we're going to have some exciting chats amongst all of you. So I am so delighted. In fact, sometimes I tell everybody else that more than anything else, it's my honor to have all of you on board, because little did I expect. I started this group very accidentally just for my little girl, trying to encourage her. But what is happening in return is it's mind blowing. At least, it's met me beyond my expectations. So, totally an honor to know each of you. And hopefully, we'll all be in touch. We'll do more events together. Someday, you should actually air your podcast channel here for all. I know, it'll be nice to be your voiceover for your channel, and look forward to actually the 29th and the 30th when your events are going to be presented,
Thank
Chris.
you, Manisha.
In the meantime, stay blessed, stay strong. You're doing a good job, lady. So keep at it, no matter who says what. Just pick up all the encouragement, pick up all the motivation, chuck the rest in the trash can. Do that.
Manisha, before we end, I have to thank you again for having me, for inviting me here, for having our dance, for agreeing to air it. And it's just people like you, we get support. If people
Thank you
like
so
you
much.
give us the
It's
platform
all
and support.
mutual.
So thank you, Monisha. Thank you from the
It's
bottom.
all mutual. It's all
Thank
mutual.
you.
So stay blessed, stay beautiful, and keep dancing, singing, talking, writing, all the good things that you do.
You too,
And
Monisha.
take care. Bye bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. God bless. Bye bye.